Hello and welcome to the Walk in Love podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Brooke.
And today we're going to talk about moms on Maui. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making us a part of your week. The Walk in Love podcast is a weekly conversation between Brooke and I about rhythms, faith, emotions, parenting. It's a place where we laugh and sometimes cry as we try to find language to live a full life.
And if you like your listening to line up with your living, then you're in the right place.
Why are you so smiley?
I was going to laugh because I think we should add, when you ramble off all those things that it's about.
Let's add something right now.
If you're capable, because you're the one who's always saying it in the moment.
Yep.
Something about, sort of like B&B vibes, right?
Okay.
Like I was laughing thinking about you adding the word turtles in there.
But often we don't know what
we don't know what we're talking about. So it's actually not very helpful. But I giggled thinking you might say turtles just now.
Yeah.
Michael, now I'm going to have to. No, Michael's the one who says it.
Yeah.
Wait, now I'm going to have to go look at pictures of turtles.
Today's sponsor, I have a few sponsors. I'm just going to throw them at.
Okay.
They're all us. They're all just ways you can.
It's me.
It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me.
I'm the sponsor. It's me.
Yeah. Nice. That's a Taylor Swift reference, which I don't know if you know this, but she's dating an NFL player.
Really?
Yeah. And apparently she went on tour.
Wow.
And then she recorded that tour. I think it was on her iPhone or something and made it into a movie.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I actually didn't know that part.
Of course you did.
She didn't do it on her iPhone. No. Oh, see, that's the part I didn't know. No, I know she made it into a movie and it's like a day and you can watch it somewhere and everybody's painting their nails for the day. I don't know. I think that's what's happening.
I went to the movies in Pennsylvania with Matt, who's my movie buddy.
Yeah.
And when we walked out, I made him take a picture. It had the big Eras tour, in balloon letters. And I made him take a picture.
As if that's what you went to see. I'm sure it's great. That's funny.
Anyways, a couple of sponsors coming at you. Just a couple of ways. If you want to support the podcast, you can through purchasing great products or experiences, etc. One, November Tea of the Month is launching on November 1st or October 31st if you subscribe to us on Instagram.
Yeah.
There's two shirts. One says Melikalikimaka and one says Let Heaven and Nature Sing. So they're both they're the most Christmassy things we've ever done.
Literally ever. I would say that is accurate.
And they're limited. They're inventoried, so they'll ship out right away. So you'll have them for the Christmas season, which for us started about 4 months ago. So if you're catching up and it starts for you today, then welcome. We're glad to have you. There was a study that said that people who tend to put up their Christmas decorations early
live longer,
are
happier.
And I would say that's factual. I'm going to say that's facts, 100%.
It's just spitting straight facts from that survey.
Yeah. I spit up straight onto that survey. So that's one way. November Tea of the Month. Those are limited. Hopefully they'll sell out. That's always my hope. Number two, I'm totally blanking now.
I don't know. Tickets?
Number two is tickets. Yes, thank you. To the Christmas extravaganza. They are currently buy one, get one free on the first 3 options of tickets. So we have 4 options of tickets. One is you can come to a dinner the night before. Those tickets are not buy one, get one free.
Right.
Every other option is buy one ticket, get one free.
BOGO free.
You have to add 2 tickets to your cart. Don't add one. We're not going to magically mail you a second ticket.
Right. Actually, we're not going to mail you anything.
We're not going to mail you any tickets. We're going to email them to you because it's 2023.
Let's randomly mail one person their tickets. And say, you've been selected. And they're like, for what?
Free back rub.
I don't. It's coupons. Homemade coupons from us. A sip out of my drink the night of the event. Really random stuff.
So Tea of the Month, Christmas extravaganza. Number 3, which isn't exactly available, but I know you're going to ask after this episode, when is Moms on Maui happening again?
Yes, so 2024.
It'll happen in 2024. We have the dates picked out. We are going to launch those dates to people to apply in November. And to get the first email that says, hey, you can apply now. Yeah. There's a survey in the show notes that you can use, and that will put you on the right list. So you can go fill out that survey.
Yeah.
And then we have a 4th thing that I can't really talk about. So I'm not going to mention it, but it's cool. And then we have a fifth thing. Like we've just given people updates in a while.
Okay. So this is sponsors and updates all in one.
This is sponsors and updates put into one. The fourth thing I can't talk about, but it's cool.
I think that was fifth.
No,
fourth.
It's fourth.
Sorry, fourth.
It's very cool. And if you're cold, it'll even help you if you're cold.
Oh,
so
specific.
Yeah.
That's
it's just part of it. Or it'll help you if you're, I don't know. I don't know what to say that won't totally give it away. Number 5.
Some people already know what it is.
Some people already know what it is. Moms already know what it is.
Yes.
Number 5, Tiny Rhythms 2.0.
Ooh.
Coming soon. So
very excited.
We went back to the drawing board. We had a few issues with board number 1. Not major issues, but some. And
just changes that we were like, oh, Bummer Town. I want to make those already.
Yep. And some issues. And so board 2.0 coming soon. That's as clear as I can get.
Not out of mystery, out of literally you don't know.
Unclearness.
Making products is fun.
It is. Making physical products
is so
out of
fun.
Thin air is really fun.
Yeah.
It actually is.
It actually is really fun.
It, you're like,
this was worth the 4 years of crying. No,
all the
sorry.
money that we wasted.
This was worth the tens of thousands. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. We got it.
It's great. Hope it works. It doesn't. Cool. Let's start over.
Bummer Town. Let's try again.
I like the introduction of Bummer Town.
That is old school.
We used to say that a lot.
It was Bummer Town or Awesome Town USA. And you used to say Bummer Town a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe like when we were first-ish married. I don't know. It's coming back, apparently.
It's coming back. So that's kind of what's been going on and sort of like things that are happening and moving. And then number 6, I'll just keep going.
I'll keep going.
Number 6, we are doing something called the 25 Teas of Christmas.
Yes.
So every day for 25 days, we will launch a brand new tea / it may have come out before.
Some of them are repeats, but not necessarily the exact same like color, combo, like color, ink, color, shirt thing, blah, blah, blah.
So every
but a
day,
lot of it's new.
9 Eastern from November, I want to say 7th.
I'm not sure. I'd have to check.
Yeah, that might be too early. November 16th, I think. Anyways, it's like
we don't know.
I'm clear. I'm certain it starts in November.
And we're certain it runs for 25 days.
And 25 days in a row, new tea every day. And there's some really fun new designs in there. So,
but they work like the tea of the month does.
Yep.
They're inventoried. They will ship immediately.
That's how all our stuff's going to work from now on.
Wow.
Yeah. We made that announcement on Instagram.
We did, but I don't know if we've talked about it here.
We haven't. Yeah. We're going to an inventoried model, mini collections released every month.
Update 49.
Update 47. Update number 6. Okay. So those are all the sort of businessy things happening. We're going to talk about our trips. I think it's going to be 2 episodes.
Yes.
But I have to tell a story.
Yeah, I knew you would. You can't save it for next week, can you?
It's just too good.
Okay.
Well, first,
is it your only funny story? Like, is it all you have to tell next week? Be honest. So then do we really need 2 episodes?
No, I could talk about the trip from my perspective.
Okay.
As a dad on the mainland, man on the mainland.
Ooh.
Man on the mainland.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll tell 2 stories.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe we will only need 1 episode. One, and you may have seen this on Instagram. I went through my parents, so I'm sitting in my parents' couch, which I'm very familiar with. You know, it's the house I grew up in, and my mom has this gallery wall. And I start to think to myself, I wonder who has the most pictures in this house of me and my siblings. And my mom has so many pictures in her house, which is like really sweet. Shows you that she really loves her kids and she wants to see them in all rooms, even the bathroom, which is nice. And so I asked myself the question, I wonder who's photographed most, fully knowing the answer to be one of my sisters. And then I went through the entire house and made tallies next to everybody's name in our family to see who was actually photographed the most.
Yeah.
And I made a video about it and I posted on Instagram. So if you need a good laugh and need to,
or if you can relate to, if that's your parents' house,
it's on my Instagram. So that was one funny thing that happened. And I got my parents' reaction once I like revealed the data and it's all in the video. It's pretty funny. The other funny story is we're on, so traveling with 3 kids. I'm not going to get into that. I'll get into that next week. So we're on the flight coming back to Maui.
Yes.
Chicago to Oahu. That was our longest leg. And then we were going to go Oahu, Maui.
Right.
There's an elderly.
Which is what, like, isn't it like 9 hours from Chicago?
Hours by the time you like land and get off the plane. It's like easily over 10 hours. When you board on the plane, when you sit on the, like,
that's true.
It's a long flight.
Yeah.
And so there's an elderly couple sitting behind us and then a man sitting next to them on the aisle who is going to the island to check on a property that he owns. He's part of it. I could tell you a lot of details about this man's life because I have never sat in front of someone who talked more than anyone I've ever been on a plane with, even friends and family who I've sat next to.
Yeah.
Even
they're quieter.
They were quieter than this stranger. Like,
or you always have headphones on, and so maybe you don't know who's talking behind you as much.
Yeah, so I couldn't wear headphones because I was on Daisy duty, just like making sure she wasn't, kicking the seat in front of her and stuff. But even when we after we got home, and I was like, Ginny, did you notice anything about that guy sitting behind us? She goes, you mean the one that never stopped talking? Like an 8-year-old picked up on it.
Who did have headphones.
Yes. And he talked about so many things. I also know that the elderly couple, he was a police chief for a long time. And like, I know too much about these 3 people sitting behind me. Like for probably 25 minutes, the older lady couldn't get her screen to work. And he talked about, well, we got to figure this out. Let's see what we can do. Oh, let's try this. Oh, that's not working. Oh, well, why don't we go in here? Let me see if
At no point did they ask for help from like
let me see if I can get it figured out on my screen. Oh, here we go. Look, there's some examples on what to do if your screen drills up. Let me go through these tutorials. I'm going through the tutorial. I'm going to get you help. Let me just see if I can figure this out. Let's try that.
Take a breath.
Didn't stop talking.
Wow.
And so, I'm just along for the ride. I'm in a middle seat. Daisy's trapped against the window. I'm trying to make sure she doesn't kick the person in front of her. And Sunny and June are watching as many movies as they want. That's the reality of where I am. And so he talks and talks and talks. He used to work for a power plant. He's into geology, but also into astronomy. And you'd be surprised how those two connect. That was an exact quote. I got a pretty good telescope in my house. Sometimes I like to look at stars. Like, I can't express enough the randomness of this guy's path of conversation. And then we're about 30 minutes from landing. He goes, so my wife makes good soups. Nope.
Done.
And I'm like, okay. Like if there was like a lull.
Right.
No one was talking.
Yeah.
And then
he's thinking, what do I have left? You know what we haven't talked about? Soup.
Then for 10 minutes, he's like, well, she makes good soups because her mom always made good soups. Back in their day, it was like a little bit harder to come by food. So like she was just really good at making soup. She could make a soup almost out of anything. And then she taught my wife how to make soups. My wife now can make a soup out of almost anything. It's like, if it's a cold day and I really want a soup, she can make it happen. And it is so good. And I was just like, oh man, we're at soups.
We're at soup talk.
We made it all the way to soup talk. We have 30 minutes left. And for 20 minutes, he talked about soup.
Wow.
And so that was probably the funniest thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
That like no one else could experience with me. I would have loved for you to be on that plane with
me. Yeah. But you would have had headphones on if I had been on. So you might have missed some of the soup talk.
Oh man. But yeah.
That's
overall, my trip was great. Yeah. It really, really was. Outside of, I realized my move when I travel with the girls now is Daisy sits in the window seat. I sit in the middle, and then Sunny or June sits on the other side, and then one of them sits on the aisle on the other side.
Right.
Because if Daisy sits by Sunny and like starts touching her stuff, Sunny gets real mad. June doesn't get mad, but she like doesn't want it to happen.
Still not fun. Yeah.
And so, but because of that, I'm like turned the whole time towards the window. And the day after I got to Pennsylvania and woke up, my neck was so sore. Like I had like full body turn neck for days. And then on the way back, it wasn't as bad, but it was still, but outside of that, kids did great. They slept great. It was great. So,
that's awesome.
But we're not here to talk about that.
Okay.
None of that matters. We're talking about Moms on Maui.
Yeah.
Which was 2 5-night experiences for ladies.
Yep.
Not necessarily all moms.
Right.
Were they all married?
This time around, yes.
Yes. But single ladies, you can apply.
Yes.
In Maui with Brooke, and take it away.
Take it away. It was great. I don't really know how to get into it. But it really was. I've never, I feel like that's an obvious statement, but never done anything like that or quite like that. I certainly feel very comfortable hosting people in our home. So that part wasn't like, anybody really on either side of our family comes outside of like just your parents or just my parents. And we've got the same amount of people in the house instantly because of the amount of kids and all the things. So large groups in the home is not like a stressful thing. So thankfully,
we actually like it.
I wasn't like feeling swirls about any of that. I think the biggest thing I probably felt leading up to it was just like, oh gosh, I hope this is what they're expecting. Like, I don't know what they're expecting, and it wasn't like we had this crazy detailed, tell me everything you want to do and everything you want to know about it, because that was also not totally the point. The point was like, you just need to decide to come.
Yep.
And then I'll handle everything else. And so, so with week 1, I was able to invite one of my closest friends to come along to week 1, which was really fun.
To clarify, you're not her best friend because she has another best friend.
Yes, right.
Okay, but I just needed to know that. Okay. Yep, I'm on the same page.
It's fine.
It's fine.
So she came in a day early, which was really, really fun.
Yeah.
Because I took you guys to the airport Wednesday.
We left at 1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock. But I would have dropped you off at like 11. Yep. I went straight to Costco. Crazy Costco trip.
Yep.
My cart was so full, but it was awesome. And my brain was like, after the end of like trying to do Costco and a Whole Foods pickup and a Target. And then I was like, shoot, I still have to go to Safeway because somebody doesn't have all the things. But I'm driving back from Costco and I see Kim's plane landing over my head.
Okay.
And so I'm like, oh no, like it's fine. She'll just have to wait. So I actually think you guys did overlap in the airport. You technically were you had not taken off yet.
We were probably on the runway.
You were literally passing each other on the runway, but it did happen. Anyway, so I'm unpacking groceries and I'm like, man, I really thought she would have like called or text by now. Right. Like, but that's fine. Like I know maybe she checked a bag and baggage can take a long time. I don't know. And I'm still unpacking groceries, secretly praying, Lord, please send neighborhood kids by. I will pay them to help me unload this car. Nobody came.
No.
So not my testimony, but it's fine. And so I finally get everything unloaded and I realize I have a missed call from a very random number. And then that same number calls me back again. And it says some guy's name, like it's loading. So I answer, it's Kim, whose phone won't turn on. And so she had to take somebody's phone to call me. She's like, I'm here, come get me. And I was like, okay, that makes way more sense. Because she's like she would text me the moment she lands. Anyway, I go get her. It was awesome that she came early. I still had a decent to-do list to do.
So she was about to get on her plane from Dallas to Maui.
Yes.
And she gets on the plane and texts John.
Yes.
This plane is big, like that show we watched about the hijacking.
It looks like the hijack plane. That's what she told me.
And her phone shuts off.
Yes.
I asked my mom about it.
Yeah.
I said, would that, she's like, oh, 100%. 100%. The
oh,
FAA
for real?
Shut her down completely.
No way.
And Kim was like, makes a lot more sense now because she tried to text you right after she texted John.
Yeah.
And that was when it didn't work. Like, hey, I'm leaving.
Or maybe she texted me first because I got a text and then she went dark.
Yeah. So I don't know.
The government's real. Of course it is. Well, because days later we did get it back on. It wasn't like so dead that it's never coming back.
And then she borrowed a phone from me. She had a lot of phone issues.
There's a lot of phone talk, similar to soup talk. We don't have to get into all of it. But anyway, that's really funny. I mean, it's not funny, but that makes so much sense.
For Kim to sit next to the guy who sat behind me on the flight where she didn't have her phone to use.
That would have been something.
Filled in on someone who lives in Michigan.
Yes. So had a decent to-do list left for the like last 24 hours, but it was really fun that she came and that we were able to do it together and do all that kind of stuff. So yeah, both weeks. So everybody arrived on a Thursday both weeks and then left on a Tuesday.
And that's what we'll do in the future.
And that's exactly what we'll do again because it worked out fantastic. But arrival days were so fun. People arrived over a variety of time. Like so most people got in around like, there was usually a crew around like 11 or 12, then like a mid-afternoon. And then there was some like late night stragglers based on flying and all the things. But it's so fun. Just everybody starts showing up in different Ubers at different times and being like, oh my word, this is happening.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing this. They're doing this. We're all doing this.
Yes.
Like it's actually happening and they're here.
Yeah.
I've been getting texts for, the previous 24 to 36 hours of like, I'm already on my way. I've dropped off kids. Like as people started their travel journeys and I was like, I still haven't gone to Costco, because they had to start their journey so early. But it was just wild that everybody came. I mean, I fully expected everybody to come. I wasn't like, nobody's going to come. But it was just like, here you are in my living room. You're here. Yeah. We're doing this. Yeah. I don't feel like I have to detail all the activities. You can go watch literally every single day we did on Instagram. We've highlighted them separately or together separately. Yep. Both weeks were similar. We did very similar things, but some stuff was different because of just the way that it all worked out. But yeah, it was just fantastic. And so I feel like I have.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Let me ask you just one question. Obviously, like we have a form that the ladies have filled out so that they can tell you what they
after the fact,
what they learned and, things like that.
Yeah.
But what would you say was the things that you learned while hosting Moms on Maui, like about yourself, about maybe like what women are going through, like it could be anything, but I would just love to know sort of that perspective.
Yeah. Well, that's great because that's what I have. So in no particular order, like these are not in hierarchy of importance or impact or anything like that. I also am fully confident this is not a complete list. This 100%. Is like, people left my house less than 4 days ago, and here's my list today.
Like we're still putting beds and mattresses.
I'm still very much processing in a really, really good way. So I think a couple of the things I learned. One would be to it's an encouragement / something I learned. Like whatever your gifts are, to find a way to use them for your people, your immediate people, or people outside of your circle. Like I do use the gift of hosting and the fact that we're here and we have a home here, like for my immediate people. Yep. But it was like, also this was a way to like take it outside of that circle a little bit. Yep. And so whatever that is, it doesn't have to be having people come to your home, but like, I think everybody knows, I think most people know what some of their gifts are. We just talk ourselves out of them because we feel like they're not enough, like, enough, big enough or exciting enough or whatever, like whatever tiny little thing that just popped up in your head. And you're like, yep, that's not really a gift. That's just something I like, or that's something I do, or that's something, whatever. I would say lean into that, like find a way to use that either in a set amount of time. Like, I leaned into it hard for 2 weeks. Or just like, how do you work that into your, everyday life, no matter what it is? Because
do you feel like one of your moms or a few of your moms showed up and used their gifts here?
Yes. Yeah. I'd have to like go through each person mentally and like kind of like figure that out. But absolutely. I mean, I think the moms showed up nervous, excited, all the things as you would, right? But also very much ready to connect and ready to be themselves. Because if we're not going to do that, then what are we doing? Yeah. Like, I don't mean what's the point entirely, but just like, absolutely. And again, like some people's gifts are way more outward and way more vocal and way more like, I could write down the list of their gifts right now. Yeah. And for some other people, I might have to do a little digging or ask, but that doesn't make one better than the other. Right. It's just that they show up differently. So that would be one thing. I was encouraged myself. Like I have other gifts. I have other things I enjoy, or that I have a talent, or that I have a this or that. I just feel more encouraged to use them and not like, not put them out or put them down because they feel silly or whatever.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, as me taking the girls, like I have learned, and it's become a gift or a micro skill or whatever you want to call it, to travel. Like traveling is not hard for me. We've been doing it my whole life. My mom is like a black belt samurai in travel. And so people are like, oh man, how did you get on plane with 3 kids? Like it didn't even fade. Like I never thought of it like, oh, well, I don't know how I'm going to do that, And so that's cool for you to say that and me to realize I kind of did that on the opposite, like on the other side of the track.
Yeah. Which would lead into another one, which we talk about a lot. This one's probably the least like, what? Yeah. She learned that? Because I feel like we talk about it a lot, which is like, we can do hard things.
100%.
All of us. We can do hard things. Hard does not equal bad. Hard does not always equal scary.
And we will have to do hard things or our life will be essentially meaningless.
There's some serious truth to that. Like, yeah.
That's like the cold reality of life.
Yes.
If you never do anything hard, I'm guessing your life isn't
No, it's going to be very like
bland, vanilla, uneventful.
Like there's no peaks and valleys on that bar graph, or not bar graph, whatever you'd call that thing. Like it's just going to be one kind of straight line. But here's the thing. Doing my part of the like, okay, people are coming, I'm getting the house ready. What are we doing? What are our plans? No part of that was actually hard in a sense for me. I can do hard things was more like, I can believe that I can send my family mainland for 2 weeks and they're going to be fine. I believe that I have something to offer enough to say yes to this in the first place when we announced it months ago.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of tied into that whole, like there's discomfort on both sides.
Or ends. Depending on how you're feeling.
Yeah. So, and I would say, I think I can speak confidently for a bunch of the moms who came that was one of their things too. Like I can do it. I can do hard things.
I can do this.
I can leave my family. I can get on a plane. I can get in a waterfall. I can make friends with strangers. I can insert anything.
I can open up. I can be vulnerable. I can do it. I can be honest.
Like, and I was okay. In fact, I'm more than okay.
In fact, it's given my soul like a shock of life that I didn't realize it needed.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And for me, I guess I'm just gonna
jump in on it if you feel like your lesson was
the hard things. Like the travel it's hard at times because it's so long. But the hard thing for me was like I need to fully believe that my work, my job, can be on hold for a few days or 2 weeks while I just hang with my kids.
Yeah,
because that's hard for me. That's hard for me to like lay that down and not think about it. And I did a little bit of work. I probably worked maybe 1 or 2 days while I was there. But for the most part, we were hanging out. We just did so much stuff.
Yeah.
So much. And that was also another hard thing for me to like, I'm not going to just like sit in my childhood home and relax. I want to fully commit to what June and Sunny want to do. I want to give them the best, whatever many days experience, because we're going to do this again. And I want to just be like, what's your list? June made this long single spaced list of random things that she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And we were just like, I was just all in on it.
All in and checking it off. Yep. It was so sweet.
And that's hard for me because there's so much of like, it's easy for me to just like, oh, I don't know, let's just hang out here. Like I don't
really need to go anywhere.
Yeah. And so, but it actually pushed us to do a lot of stuff and see a lot of people that I may have seen, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's good. The next thing would be like that I was reminded of. It was interesting though, because I was on a different side of this than I've ever been before. I was reminded of the difference between like strangers and strangers. So meaning like Meaning like, when we're in high school or when we're in a small group and when we get thrown into a group, a class, a whatever, that's truly a team, that's truly random. All those people, could be that. All those people are strangers at first and they become not strangers over time, but it's still a very hodgepodge random group of people that have been put together. That is a very different, I don't want to hang out with strangers. Then I've never met any of these women, but I know they're all moms or soon to be moms or they're married, something in that category.
Yeah. No, they're all believers.
And yes. And they all came here, which is where it was different for me because they listened to this podcast or they have followed us for a long time. Yeah. And so there was this common thread that immediately they were not strangers.
Yeah.
And so that is two very different things. So if you're like, I hate when they have us split up into tables to find a new small group at church, I can't handle it. I'm like, me too. Unsubscribe. That is very different than what happened when strangers came here with a very common interest or common thread or common ground of life. And so that was really cool to see. And it looked different for both groups. The two groups had very different dynamics. But it was really cool how those dynamics were I don't think they were random. I don't think it was a coincidence that group one was group one and group two was group two, like those people. It was really, really cool. And so it was funny to hear a couple of them in both groups be like, we were all giggly about how were you explaining to people on the plane coming here what you were doing? Some people went straight up for the I just lied and said I'm going to stay with my friend who lives on Maui. Fully leaving out the part, which is very true. Yeah. Fully leaving out the part. I've never met her before. and I don't know any of the other people going. So that was kind of amazing. And then other people leaned all in and they were I'm
going to a stranger's house I know from the internet.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Like the people next to him.
Blink if you need help.
Literally. Yeah. Someone was telling their dad about it and all he responds was, make sure you have cell service. So that was just fun. And it was just a nice language reminder of not all strangers are the same. That's not all equal.
Yeah,
100%. Stranger danger is not always the same. It just means you haven't met somebody who might be a new friend yet.
One thing that we did, and we'll do it again as we open up dates for 2024, is that in our sort of application process, there's a question that, did you apply with anyone? And so that allows people who might be just off the board to all stranger groups.
Yes.
To
if you want to come with someone, you can.
Just comfort, security blanket type thing, because there were two sisters that came, or sister-in-laws, and then two
neighbors.
friends/neighbors. And so we do allow for that as well.
Yes.
And then in group 2, we had friends that came together as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's good.
Another thing I was reminded of.
I didn't meet any strangers.
Nice.
No, that's not true.
I guess you would have
a whole ton at the
pop-up shop,
which was great.
I was reminded of how much fun it is and how good it is for us to laugh really hard with other women. Just, and again, this is a very broad brush statement. And so I know that I'm saying that, but I often feel like in the faith world, anytime women get together, it's kind of serious. It's like a tea party or 100%. This bruncheon, or it's this,
there's it's this
involved. Yes, there's which I love. I'm probably made those floral arrangements. I'm all about it. But it just tends
the guys event, it's we're going to throw axes and blow up an old car. And
yes.
All
and
right.
I'm like, okay, where are my ladies at who we just want to laugh incredibly hard about stuff? And, 1 minute we're crying in my kitchen about our relationships with our parents and, all sorts of intense things. Yep. And then 15 minutes later, we're 2 sheet pans down, Rice Krispies, and laughing so hard we can't stand up. And it's just fantastic.
So good. Because on the flip side of that, men are such simple creatures in some ways that we have no problem laughing. We make dumb jokes often.
Yeah.
And our sense of humor is usually angled towards dumb things.
Right.
I could sit on my phone and watch reels of people falling down and laugh as hard as you probably laughed in like 60 seconds. And so when I was texting you very sporadically through the week, that was one thing that brought me so much joy to hear that you guys were laughing so much, because I do like, I don't know, I feel like it can be missing from women's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like if you're listening and you're like, my small group's super funny. We're great. We laugh all the time. That's amazing.
Awesome.
I literally love that for you. I just think as a whole, if I had to use a broad brush, I would say that women's stuff leans more serious, more let's be spiritual. Let's be Proverbs 31, which is, again, that's all 100%. Great things to learn about. Yes. I want to go to that study, but like, that is not the complete, that's not all that I am.
That's not a complete view of joy, like a joyful life. There's definitely a side of joy that is fun and goofy and silly and cackles. And, and I think that's why like so many people are connecting with you and Bianca's podcast is because like it is just sort of
because
this, like,
she's a psycho who wants to be 12 inches tall.
Yeah, 100%. Because it is just sort of this like refreshing, like you guys aren't talking about celebrities or like all that kind of like gossipy type stuff. And you're just like two ladies having fun and cackling.
Yeah.
And so
she's got a good cackle. I need to work on mine.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's good. That's a good word.
Just like literally laughing a lot. There was a lot of talk about, because I asked everybody at the end of both weeks, like, what was your Mount Rushmore of the whole trip? What 4 things would you carve into stone? And then what was your favorite thing you ate? Or one of your favorite, you could have a Mount Rushmore of just food if you couldn't pick. And then we added on here and there, just like, is there anything you learned? Is there anything that surprised you about yourself? Like things like that. And a lot of similar things rose to the top in terms of what was learned or what was, what surprised them about themselves, which was just really cool. It was all the things that I hoped it would be. Like I realized that a lot of them did, like, because I realized this too, in a way, like, let me say it and then let me backtrack. Okay. That as moms, we are not as essential as we think we are. Now let me backtrack. Yes. Obviously we are. We are very essential in all those things. 100%. And you know exactly what I'm trying to say. But there were these, it was coupled with the like, wow, I actually did it. I actually came. Oh, my family's actually okay. Everybody's all right. Yeah. Or even for some of them, if something wasn't all right, like it still was all right. Yeah. Like I think as moms, actually, not even just mom, as women, I think as women, we have this, like, we carry a lot. Some of it is very real and needs to be carried by us. And a lot of it is not. We carry way more than we need to, with more pressure and tension than we need to. Yeah. So not only was the time here time to literally set that down. Like at one point somebody said, we were just rambling. We were all just talking about, I don't know, we were making bracelets or something. It wasn't like tell me what you learned. Yeah. Like I was just listening as they were verbally processing their week on the last day. And one of them was like, I don't know, I haven't made a to-do list in 5 days. So this is fantastic. Yeah. And I was like, yep, exactly. Yeah. Like you haven't. And like that shows where her head is at and the rest of us. Yeah. Most every day of our life. Yeah. Like
I would also add that as moms, you do carry stuff that's unnecessary for you to carry. But I do feel like there's this huge cultural lie that your husbands are inadequate. They're
incapable of carrying anything.
They're dumb. Yes. I mean, you watch any television show or any modern movie, and the husband is some bumbling doofus that doesn't know how to use the microwave, and so you have to cook every meal and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, and so not to say that these women believe that, but there is this sort of like cultural floodgate that's opening, that's telling you that message over and over and over again.
You carry it all, or it will come crumbling down.
Because you married a doofus, and so. And so there's this element where you do it to yourself, culture's doing it to you. And so it feels even heavier. Yeah. And even if you don't believe that I'm a doofus, which I don't think you do. Correct. Like that, like it takes you 21 times to believe something.
Yeah, I was going to say,
you hear something 21 times, you start to believe it.
subversive. Is that the right word? Like
100%.
just, it's kind of under there, underneath, whether you're realizing you're taking it in or not.
And if you haven't realized that, like you'll start to see it in literally everything you watch.
Oh, it's everywhere.
And every single commercial you watch.
Yeah.
That the man is like this bumbling idiot that can't do anything. Yeah. And so you have to do everything. And so, I 100% understand why women feel that, because that's what they're told.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it fires me up.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And so,
but that's awesome.
I kind of forget where I was headed.
No to-do list.
Yeah. The no to-do list, both weeks.
This is hands down my favorite thing you told me, because again, our heart for Moms on Maui was to give mom, specifically in our relationship. I have no issue finding the things that I love to do and giving myself time to do them. I've said this before. I do CrossFit. I play video games. I'm an integrated. I went to
pickleball.
I do pickleball.
Weekly or monthly.
Like if a friend invited me to go meet him in California to do something really special to him, there's a high probability that I'd be on that airplane.
Yeah.
Women, that I feel like all those things drop. Not to say that women don't have hobbies, but women, especially women
with young kids,
it's very hard for them to take time for themselves.
Yeah.
And so they just push through and push through and push through.
Yeah.
And, it's hard.
Yeah.
And so our heart behind Moms on Maui is like, let's just allow women to decide once to come. Like all you have to do is decide that, hey, this works for me and I'm going to do it. And then Brooke will handle the rest. And so the fact that what you're about to say happened both weeks makes me feel like mission accomplished.
Yes,
like,
for sure.
because like when you told me that, I almost told the guy behind me in the airplane.
Hey, soup guy, I got something to say here. You get all newsies about it. Yeah, like let me go back for a second. Like there was so much talk both weeks about like, wow, I actually needed this much time for my insides to come down.
Yeah. For
my nervous system to calm. It took 3 days of me being here to get there.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe they thought it would happen immediately.
Right.
And our bodies just, when we're on edge or our nerves are like all the time from life and little kids and all the things, like it takes it's why we made it the length we made it. It wasn't just like come for 2 days, but it also wasn't like come for 10 days because that's not going to work for anybody's real life schedule. 100%. And so lots of people said it took a while to come down, and there was lots of talk about just like remembering that they are in a good way, in a healthy way, separate from their families. They are their own person. They are someone outside of mom and outside of wife and outside of these things. And not that you don't take that person and then plug her into all those things. No. It's the same person.
Yeah. We don't mean it in like a narcissistic, selfish society way.
No, but like the mom who's like, I don't even know what I like anymore. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to wear. I don't know what my hobbies are. I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're so head down in little kids. And it makes me emotional for a few reasons. One, because I've been there.
Yeah.
And two, because I know so many people are still in it. And I don't know if I can even tell you all that much to say, hey, here's how to get out of it. Right. There's a part of it that's so just where you're at.
Yeah, it's just
where you're at right now.
100%.
But that doesn't make it any less hard. And so to hear so many of the moms after the week say like, I found myself. And even more than that, the Lord met me there. Like
that'll make you weep.
Yeah. Like I didn't know if she was still there. And then when I went looking for her, he was already there waiting. And it was everything I hoped it would be regarding that.
Okay. Well, that's my new favorite thing.
Well, yeah.
The other story's trash now.
No, it's not. It's not. But like, yeah, what I was going to say earlier is that both weeks, 2 different women, although I don't know if we all had our Apple Watches on. I didn't have mine on, were alerted that after the 5 days, they had new resting heart rate.
So awesome. That is just so cool. That is such a physical representation of what we were hoping the trip would do to the soul.
Yes.
And I love it.
Yeah.
It's going on the top of the website. literally, probably. After the first week uttered it, I was like, hey, can I use that in marketing? That's fantastic. Like, and I pointed at her. She's like, yeah, sure. But, yeah, just like, yeah. And week 1 when it happened, she was like, she's
She's like, it was like my health app. Like I never hear from my health app. Like it was like, you okay? Hey, tap twice if you're still alive. Like you don't seem the same. And the robot knew like something's different and we're going to alert you of that in case that's good or bad. And then when I told the story week 2, someone was like, oh, I got that notification this morning.
That's so awesome.
And it's just so cool.
And I will say that like there's power in doing this. Like if the trip to Maui is like outside of your budget or whatever, I do this. Like go do this in some other regard. Like take some time, go on a weekend trip, whatever.
Yes.
But there is something super powerful about coming this far.
Yes.
Because and we learned this early on when we moved here. So specifically coming from the East Coast is like, you know, it's a 6-hour time difference.
It's a big difference.
After about 6 p.m., after about 4 p.m.,
our time, Hawaii
time, we wouldn't get a single text message from anybody.
Yeah.
And there's
even to this day, if we get a text at like 9 or 10 p.m. and it buzzes, we're like, who is that? Like, who is texting us this late? And then we're like, oh, you know, like somebody who lives here.
Yeah.
But that's very rare.
But it's pretty rare because we don't have very many friends.
Bianca goes to bed early. So what am I supposed to
do? But there is some sort of magic in that, in being so far removed that I think helps what you're talking about. That it's like you're not even on the same time zone. You're not even close to the same time zone.
No.
At closest, you're 3 hours.
Yes.
And that's still quite a bit of difference.
Especially in the world of kids. Yeah. When your spouse is back or your parents or whoever's back with your kids. There is this
element of like, especially in the evening, that you guys were able to just be. Like,
they had no one to text. They had no one to check in on because everybody's been asleep for 4 hours already. Yep. And that part was very, very real.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. And then I know a lot of conversation was about how different things in life and motherhood, like both, can convince us that we are very alone. And there was just a lot of talk about, like, by the end of the week of just like, man, you know, the Lord really worked on my heart and showed up and did some really cool things. And like, I'm not alone. You know, I think a lot of talk and processing and healing around that, which was really cool. And so I'll end with this, which they kind of go hand in hand because you can kind of use it either way. Both weeks we went to sit on the beach at sunset, or really a little after sunset, and watch the turtles come out of the water at this one point. Not all turtles come out of the water. They don't have to, but large groups of them do repeatedly, night after night, come out and sleep on the beach. And so if you know where to sit, it's really fun. And so both weeks we're like walking down the gravel pathway to where we're going to sit. And I'm like giving instructions, you know, I'm like, okay, so turtle rules, let's talk about them. I was like, number 1, don't get close, which we're not planning on doing anyway here. So you're fine. I said, sit down. We're not going to stand. Like, this is why I brought the mats. You need to be quiet. You know, which week 1 was like, oh, I'm really glad you said that. I didn't think about that. It was like, yeah, I was talking to you too. And then
you know who you are.
Yes. And then, yes, like no lights, no flashlights, no flash camera, like nothing like that. And so it was really, I mean, that's just a cool experience anyway, to like have 8 or 9 of us sitting on the beach, basically in silence for about 40 minutes. Like, that's a lot of time for you to just like sit and be and think as you watch for the turtles to come out. And so most nights, unless it's bonkers windy, which thankfully it wasn't any of these nights, you'll see them right as the sun sets. Like, they come out after it sets and it starts to get like real dark. You'll see their little heads start popping up out of the water, like all over the water. And you're like, oh, there's one. Oh, there's one. And oh, this one's getting so close. It's going to come out. And you like start to get so excited and like, oh no, he's not going to do it. And then you see another little head, like whoop, whoop, almost like whack-a-mole, but you know, not like they just start to pop up.
Please don't whack them.
No, not at all. It's both culturally inappropriate and illegal. We use those lines a lot because there's so many times and things we were doing. Not only is that culturally inappropriate, that's also illegal. Those are all the words on top of Haleakala. Told them no selfies with the turtles. You're not allowed to do that. Anyway, so the turtles' heads start popping up and we're all excited, right? Like both weeks, everybody's excited. Like, it's really going to happen. It's really going to come. And it's probably just because I was hosting. And so internally I'm like, for the love of all that's real, these turtles better come out of this water. Cause I have said they come out every night and then watch this be the night that they don't, like the pressure's on internally for me to be like, turtles, do your part, and so to me, it felt like a long time until the first one came out because my insides were like, come on, just do it. But so the first one comes out, doesn't even come out very far. He's like still in the waves, but he's like, I've done it. And just like collapses. Yeah. Week 2, the first one came out a little further, but week 2, somebody actually took a time lapse, which I have. It's a little crooked and it was like balanced in somebody's shoe. Yeah. And I need to take one sometime to have. That's just like on my phone. But we can share it again, or you can find it in week 2 of Moms on Maui if you want to watch it. But it's true. It took, and I told them this without thinking a thing of it. Yeah. I said, you'll see all the little turtle heads pop up, and then we just need one of them to come out. Like as soon as one comes out, like they're all going to come. Mm-hmm. It'll be great. Could be 5, could be 35. Like I don't know. And so we're waiting, and the one comes, and within a few minutes, the second one comes, and then a third, and then a fourth, and then a fifth. And then they're like, oh, we got to move up. Like we got to make room. So they come further and further out of the water, out of their comfort zone all the way, and more come. And I don't remember the final counts either week, but it was like between probably 20 and 30 both weeks that came out of the water. And by then it's like so dark, you can't even count. They're just like lumps on the sand as you're trying to tell the difference.
Sand lumps.
Really amazing God created sand lumps. It's almost like he did that to look like rocks. Yeah. And so week 2, we talked about it a lot more because one of the moms was, which I didn't catch, I missed. I wasn't paying attention. I was watching the turtles. The whole turtle thing made her very emotional, and it kind of surprised her. And so we all then processed it a little bit afterwards. And like, I know it's going to make me cry again, even though I've talked about it like 5 times. So it only took one turtle to come out of the water for the rest to come. And so there was this moment of like, where we were talking about that story and the turtles from like, you can do hard things. You're not alone. It's okay to take time for yourself as a mom.
You have gifts.
Like you have gifts. Like we were talking about it over there. Like I'm holding my one hand out, like holding a plate right now. Like one conversation was happening about the turtles over there. And then both weeks, when I dropped some of the ladies off at the airport or just said final goodbyes at the house, I thanked them every time. And the one trip to the airport, the day I took 4 trips to the airport with week 1, it caught me by surprise and got me more emotional as I thanked them for coming and being some of the first moms to come. Mm-hmm. Like I remember hugging Macy really hard and really crying and just being like, I'm so dead serious. Like, thank you for actually coming, because you had to come first for other moms to come in the future. Like somebody had to say yes first, and group 1 said yes first. And that led us to do group 2 immediately. Mm-hmm. And so like, I'll lump them in with like the first round of Moms on Maui that we did. Like they were the earliest of adopters in terms of doing this new thing. I'm like, yes, I want that. I'm going to try that. And with no one else having gone before them to be like, here's what it's going to be like. Here's what to expect. Yeah. Here's the reviews. Here's the this. Like they just fully believed and stepped into it, which was the coolest thing. And so when I picture those turtles coming out of the water and I picture that first one coming out and that being these first 2 weeks that we did of the moms. And then I see in the video, the rest of the turtles who follow. I'm crying over turtles. It really gets me. Yeah. Like it really does, because that is what it takes. Mm-hmm. In your marriage, in your life, in your parenting, in anything. So often someone or you as a unit or your family as a unit, insert whatever you need to into that first turtle shell. Like somebody's got to go first. Yeah. And there is so much power in that and so much joy in that and all the things. And so right before we sat down to record this, I was looking over some of the responses of the moms, because I did ask, I said, just whenever you get a minute, don't overthink it, but fill this out. So I just have some like real written words and I'm not making up, trying to remember what you said and using my own version of what you said. Like, what was your favorite thing you ate? Blah, 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 And as I was scrolling them real quick, like real fast before we sat down here, at the very bottom of at the very bottom of all of them, it says, anything else you want me to know? Some people filled stuff in, some people didn't. And at the very bottom of the one of the moms said, thank you, Brooke, for being the very first turtle.
Mm.
And I did not, of course I didn't. In the moment of moving here and all the moments surrounding that and all the emotions and all the this and that, not once, and I am dead serious, not once did I think, hey, I'm going to do this and then other moms are going to follow. Not in terms of moving.
Right. Yeah.
But in terms of never did I ever think that, hey, me going is going to open up the opportunity or doors or whatever for other moms to experience something similar. That was so far off my radar, because that's not what it was about when we moved. And so,
it's cool to see over and over again, this moment in our house, sitting in the brown chair on a Sabbath day.
In our Pennsylvania house.
What's up with you today? And you say, I don't know. I feel like we should just move to Maui. What?
Literally. And then I went, what? I actually said, I don't know. Let's look at Maui real estate as a joke. And then I was like, oh, I'm not joking.
And just to see the different things that have happened since then. And just to see that again, use what you have for the Lord.
Use those turtles, baby.
Yeah. And so it's just cool to see that over. It's cool to see that fresh new perspective of what the move has done.
Yeah.
Both in our lives, in our kids' lives, in our families' lives, but then in now strangers' lives.
Yeah.
And that's really, really awesome. And I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you
for doing it.
Yeah. It's so easy and it's never helpful. I could have very easily been nope, I'm not going to do something like that. I'm not even going to. Why would they stay at a house when they could stay at a hotel? My house isn't as nice as the person's with the pool.
Yeah.
You start to negate and cross off the list, all the things that are on your list. Yeah. And I'm so grateful that over the last few years of processing and growth and all the things, that when you TJ threw the idea at me, hey, here's an idea. What if instead of this idea that we were talking about, we do this instead? What if moms come to you and stay in your house and do all these things? That I wasn't so quick to scratch everything off the list, that I sat with it for a couple days, as I always do, because that's what I need to do.
While I'm launching it secretly. Yep.
Yes. Well, you've already built the website and told everybody about it. We make a great team. I'm just so glad I didn't do that. And I'm just really, really glad.
It's so cool. Outside of the serious stuff.
Yeah.
Let's how would you describe it? What was your Mount Rushmore? Maybe not a Mount Rushmore, but what would you say to a mom who has listened to this podcast, was hesitant maybe to fill out the application the first time?
Yeah.
Thinks, hey, that sounds fun for people who are really fun and outgoing, but that's not me.
Yeah.
What would you say to that person who's sort of on the fence there? Because, you did have the at least the conversations that we've had, you had the extreme extrovert, chit-chatty.
Soup talk day one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you had probably someone that maybe
barely said anything.
50 words the whole time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you've gotten responses from both sides of that spectrum of just I needed this.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So what would you say to that person maybe that lands somewhere in between?
Well, the first thing I would say is I asked that exact question to all the moms. Okay. And so I'd like you to go read what they said because they nailed it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I would say just to using what I was just talking about, the language of that, don't cross yourself off the list. Don't be that's not me. That's not for me. I don't deserve that. Right. I can't do that.
Ooh, I don't deserve that.
I can't leave them. Whatever it is, I believe that you can. Like I really do. I really do.
And even if it's not this thing specifically.
Correct. Yes.
We're not, obviously we'd love for you to do this thing specifically, but we're also speaking in a very like life terms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take the time, find the thing, make the time. And that's easier said than done, 100%. But like, you better believe I was getting texts from both groups weeks leading up to it. This feels hard. I've never done this. Are you guys as nervous as I am?
Yeah.
Well, how are you prepping for your family? Are you making freezer meals? Like there were so many questions about like, how do I do this thing? I've never done this before. And that's true. Nobody had. There was like 2 people, one in each group, who were like, I've gone on like business trips with people I didn't really know. And like, we all met up and they were like, but that's so different than what's going on right now.
I will also encourage to add on to that is that Brooke gave me a gift by letting me spend 14 days with my 3 daughters.
Yeah.
Like you as a daughter listening to this.
Yeah.
Did you ever spend 14 days just with your dad?
Right.
In your life?
Right.
And for me to have that experience, that's great.
Yeah.
That's so precious and wonderful. Yeah. Obviously, there were times where like, I don't want to change another poopy diaper. I want the other parent to be here. But like, that was a gift for us and our family and our connection. And so the moms that came gave that gift to their husbands, which is really, really cool.
It's sort of like the opposite of there's discomfort on both sides. Like there is
beauty.
Yes, on both. Like you leaving for not 14 days, for 5 or 6, depending on what your travel was or is. Like, I feel like so many parents, neighborhoods, sisters, grandparents, like they were like stepping up to like be like, yes, you mom, go. And we've got this. Yeah. And there were pictures of people at the zoo and people were ice skating and people were having sleepovers and people were dressing up at theme park. Like they were fine.
Yeah.
And like, to read more than once in the very few responses I've gotten already, like I will never be the same.
Jesus.
That's exactly what I hoped for.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. So thank you for sharing all that, Brooke. And thank you for listening. We don't have the 2024 dates available yet.
Right.
But we have the survey that you can take to be put on that list to find out first.
Yes.
We are launching those 2024 dates.
And we really will launch those dates to that list first.
Yes.
Before it's like, hey, internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're launching those dates in the month of November.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact date, but it will be in November that you will
similar to when the 25 T's start.
Yes. And that's for 2 reasons. 1, to give you time to apply because it is an application. And 2, to like talk to your mom friends and like, do you feel like the people that came together, like there was something extra special about that? Do you feel like,
I don't know. I don't know if it was extra, but it was definitely different.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had gone with a friend, it would have been a different experience. I don't know if it was like necessarily better or worse. I think the full experience was maybe, I don't know. Some people like to travel alone. Yeah. There's a lot of growth there.
I talked to 3 of the moms at the pop-up shop and I talked to Kim.
Yes. Separately
at the park and then at the pop-up shop. And, I've known Kim a lot of years. I feel like I know Kim pretty well.
Yeah. She used to also be our neighbor.
We
love you, Kim, if you're listening. Sorry, we're talking about you a lot.
I could just feel like a spiritual lightness to her. Like she just felt lighter. Not that she feels like a heavy kind of person like that. She's not. But like even in just like the little bit that I know her and like I could just it felt like she just had a little more sparkle to her. That's how I would describe it, which was really cool. And then the other 2 moms that I talked to at the pop-up shop were just like, it was so great. Like, and then people at the pop-up shop were like, tell me about Moms on Maui. How's it going? I'm like, I honestly don't know much.
I don't know anything. Ask these ladies.
These 3 ladies, because they'll tell you a lot more. They were there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so cool, Brooke. So proud of you for doing it. And also so glad to be home.
Yes.
But I'll probably tell some of my part of the trip next week. But we don't have very many podcasts before the year ends. We realize that.
Yeah.
The last podcast will be recorded on December 15th at the Christmas extravaganza. So if you want to be a part of that, go buy your tickets. Buy one, get one free. Add both of them to your cart. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making us a part of your week.
Okay, I love you. Bye.